Welcome to Table Talk, where there's always room at the table. I am your host, Jonathan Harmon of the J. Harmon Home Team, and we can't wait to talk to these fine guests. Enjoy the show. All right. Welcome to Table Talk. This is Jonathan Harmon of the J. Harmon Home Team, powered by Keller Williams. Trent, you know, something I've often wondered about, and I don't know why I haven't done this yet, but there's that little bass drop in the intro music. You think that sounds really good on a set of subs?
Probably.
Yeah.
Pretty boppy. I mean,
I know. I need to hear the rest of that cut if we can. Yeah.
I'll have to go back.
Okay.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
We'll make it happen.
So here we are at Table Talk. We've got two awesome guests. They've got a cool business in Smyrna, and it's a business with a mission, which I always love. That's kind of my jam, you know, is how do we take an entrepreneurial idea, tie it back into the community, and provide a service for folks that need it. I mean, even to some extent, you know, Cedar Glade is kind of like that. We our goal obviously is to make good beer and sell good beer, but we also, more than that, we want to provide a place that folks can come in and relax and unwind and have meetings and community can gather. I mean, that's kind of the point of the old school beer gardens, you know, back in Germany, that kind of thing. And kids are welcome, dogs are welcome.
You've done a great job of that.
Well, I appreciate that.
Quick.
We do expect that dogs and kids to stay on a leash and off the furniture. So, just kidding. The kids can sit in chairs.
Cammy's broke those rules. I'm sorry.
Yes, I know she has, but that's all right. She's a sweet girl. So anyway, so we've got Theresa and Ben Alley here, and to be named Baby Alley as well. There was a whole conversation. I was like, "Do you have names picked out?" And they said, "Or do you have a name picked out?" And they said, "Well, we're undecided." I said, "Oh, do you not know if it's a boy or girl?" And they said, "That's correct." And I said, "So do you have two names picked out?" And they looked at each other, and it was a little awkward for a minute. And they're like, "Well, I guess they haven't even told the family the names yet." I was like, "Then absolutely do not tell us the name of the baby." So anyway, we got Theresa and Ben Alley. Before we do that, though, we do want to hear from our friend Brian Nail over at Premise Mortgage. Brian is a big supporter of Spread the Positive, and he's a supporter of this show specifically. And we love Brian. He does a great job with mortgages, but he also is a huge leader in our community. So let's hear from Brian real quick.
Hey, my name is Brian Nail. I'm a mortgage loan officer with Premise Bank Mortgage. I want to tell you that I absolutely love being a member of the Spread the Positive Network. It's such a great mission and helps bring so much positivity to our community. It's truly a pleasure to be part of. There are a lot of ways to navigate financing a home, and in markets like this, having the advice of a trusted local professional is key to making sure you get the right advice for your specific circumstances. Whether you're interested in the purchase of a new home, second home, or have a need for a refinance, I'd love to earn your trust. If I can help you nail your mortgage, call me at 615-243-3976 or visit nailyourmortgage.com.
Premise Mortgage is a subsidiary of Premise Bank, a member FDIC, equal housing opportunity. As always, all loans are subject to approval. Premise Mortgage, NMLS number 1894879.
We're so thankful to be friends and to be colleagues as well, and for all the things that you do here in our community. So while that was playing, Theresa was jamming to the music, and I guess Baby Alley was kicking a little bit as well.
Mm-hmm.
I saw the hand go. See, what's funny is I look almost like you, and I'm not pregnant, so I can actually imitate you pretty well right there. We offered some headphones to put around the tummy so that Baby Alley could join in the groove there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah, baby dances to the own beat.
Yeah,
it is quite a feat.
That is outstanding. That is outstanding. So real quick, when is Baby Alley due?
In a week from today.
Oh my word. So really any time now is fair game, huh?
Yep, I've been telling people any day now.
Trent, have you ever delivered a baby?
I have not.
Me neither.
Hopefully we won't.
I'd really like to not start that.
That would not
Although that would be an awesome first for Spread the Positive, wouldn't it?
I mean, something like that.
I know we're supposed to get hot water and cloths.
Bro,
That's all I know.
I'm gonna
You
defer
know
to the
about as much as I
professionals.
do, so
I'm not really sure what you do with the hot water.
I
Or-
think the hot water is just to keep you busy.
Something to do.
Yeah. Somebody do something. Yeah, exactly. That's funny. So, Theresa and Ben, I've gotten to know your family a little bit. Of course, your dad, Ron, is a dear friend of mine. Great guy, huge supporter of all things arts and Smyrna, and just generally a good dude. And so you kind of picked up some of that baton with a love for art.
Yeah, weirdly enough, I tried to rebel against it by trying to be a science person for 8 or 9 years.
How'd that work?
It worked okay. It was all right. It just wasn't me.
Yeah. I hear you. So, so when you say tried to be a science person, what does that mean?
So I have a degree in chemistry. So I went to it's my bachelor's degree. So after I got out of college, I was looking for jobs in the area and found a job at a lab doing essentially making personal care products.
Mhm.
So I did that regulatory stuff for them for 8 years, I think.
Did it rob your soul?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see it in your eyes, man.
Yeah. Well, when one of your, not to complain too much about Walmart, but when one of your biggest customers is Walmart, it's an experience all in
Sure.
its own, and I am not built for regulatory. I can tell you that
Yeah.
much.
How do you make it cheaper and still safe?
Still safe and still matching because we would make private label stuff. So
Right.
we'd have to match a target, which would be a brand. Okay, well, how do you make the brand without getting too close to the brand, but also not being too far from the brand?
Right.
What does that look like? Okay, there's a lot that goes on there, and
Which corner can we cut?
and how much paperwork can we get away with not documenting? Which was my biggest problem because I was the one making sure we had all the paperwork documented.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Gotcha. And Theresa, what's your background?
So my background is in communications. That's what I studied in school and really enjoyed that. I came here to Tennessee after college and got a job in business development. So I helped to just kind of run a small manufacturing company and just assist where needed. Ended up being some sales, some marketing, some product development, all that sort of
As
thing.
any small business, you got to wear whatever hat needs to
Yep.
be worn in the
Yep.
moment, really,
Yep.
not even on a specific day.
It was a great place to cut my teeth and to try doing stuff. And at this point, I've ended up in training at a credit union here in town.
Oh, wow.
And so that's kind of empowering people and training and helping with financial side of things, but also with like how do we reach your goals? That's kind of where I have started to come alive.
You know, that is an area, a little known fact. I was a high school teacher for a little while, and when I left education, the first thing that I did before I ever got into real estate is I applied for about I don't even know multiple, numerous, like probably approaching 3 digits, corporate training jobs. Like I wanted to do that. Everything from franchise stuff where you travel to the new locations and open them to the single location giant corporation, whatever. I applied for a ton of them, and I guess thankfully I guess I'm not sure, right? It is what it is, but thankfully I didn't get any of them and got into real estate. But I love the teaching process, and I love the light bulb moments. That's as addictive as any drug could be for me, you know.
Yeah.
So that's very cool. All right, so you guys are doing that stuff, and one day you're sitting around going, man, I would love to start a small business. Is that about how that works?
I mean, it's not too far off. So I pick up hobbies regularly. We both just something to do together. And at some point, what, 7 years ago now, 6, 7 years.
At least.
Yeah, some 6, 7 years ago now, I picked up leatherworking as just a thing to keep myself busy when I was off work, way to de-stress. And a couple of years ago, I looked into actually starting to try and sell stuff and what that whole process looked like. And then we started going and checking out places like Asheville, like the River Arts District in Asheville. And then when she started working at Redstone, um, they have their base of operations in Huntsville, and Huntsville
Right.
has a really, really
It's thriving.
thriving art scene,
Yeah.
just in general.
Mhm.
For sure.
And there's
I
a
love
place,
Huntsville.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the Low Mill Art Center is kind of what we're one of the inspirations for what we're doing.
Okay.
And so after we saw that, we were like, why do we need to go somewhere when we could just build that thing here?
Mhm.
Hmm.
So yeah. Do you have anything to add?
No, I mean, that's pretty much it. I think we had been looking for that next step for Ben because as we talked about, the job situation was like, this is not quite cutting it, but we're not sure what's next. And that just all kind of fell together. And last year we were really a part of the Smyrna farmers market.
Hmm.
And through that experience, we met so many amazing people who are also small business owners, creatives, building their brand, connecting with the community, doing those sorts of things. And we are like, if we can find a way to make this continue throughout the year and empower other artists and do something similar to Low Mill, like these are things that really speak to our heart.
So we conceptualize at this point. It's their business, by the way. I didn't even mention that is Trellis and Vine.
Mhm.
It's in Smyrna, right there on Lowry Street. Which, if you're not a Smyrnanite or Smyrnaean, I'm not sure which one it is. We also know that as Murfreesboro Road that
Yep.
goes, all
Mhm.
the main
Has all
drag.
the
It has
names.
all the names.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So 27 South Lowry is the address. It is, if you're familiar with Smyrna, it's where it's in the same building that Donut Palace was,
I,
which,
I think they finally closed their doors. I don't know for certain. It's been kind of a slow process.
man,
So
y'all
yeah,
told me that news and I
Mhm.
didn't know. And
yeah,
I'm like, oh, it hurts
yeah.
my heart.
It's been sad to kind of watch it uh,
Flounder a
kind
little
of
bit.
flounder. Yeah.
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 So,
Mm.
but if you're familiar, it's right there in the middle of town. And so you guys have the opposite end of the building
Correct.
from there.
Yep.
And so, man, I have so many questions. So let's start with the name Trellis and Vine. What is where did that come from? What is it? I'm sure there's something behind it.
Yeah. So a friend of ours does some business development, and he was like, "Hey, I like this idea you guys have. Let me just sit with you for like a session or two, and we'll just see kind of what comes out of it, and kind of brainstorm some ideas." And at that point, this whole idea was kind of in its infancy. We were trying to figure out like how it worked, what it looked like. We didn't even have a real concept for like the basis of the business. Um, and we were sitting around at a coffee shop in the evening one night, and he says, "Well, why don't you just think of a name and see where it goes?" And he was the one who actually came up with the name, and that kind of
Is he charging you royalties?
he probably should be, uh, but no, so based on everything we had told him, like what we wanted, he was like, "Well, what about like trellis and vine? Because you guys provide like the basis, and then they're the vines that grow." And
Beautiful.
I think it just kind of stuck from there.
Yeah.
Like we didn't really do any other brainstorming or anything after that.
Well, it's
Mhm.
catchy. I love
Yeah,
it. It rolls well.
yeah,
It's a
Mhm.
cool name. So with that being said, you guys are providing a trellis. Other folks can come in, plant their seeds, and grow their vines. What does that mean? So how is the business structured? When I walk in your door, what am I going to see?
right. So it's a little bit like I tell people it's a little like an arts co-op in a sense. We're a membership organization, so that means you kind of pay your membership fees like once a month kind of thing, and that's structured really so that people can have easy, flexible, um, we can help meet their needs a little better.
Mhm.
So we have kind of like a retail and showroom space, which also has a small gallery in it, and then we have kind of a workshop space. So the workshop space is really kind of an area where people can come and be on site, do their work. They don't say you're working out of your garage, you don't have a place, you're running out of room. Um, Maybe you just need something that's a little quieter than like a
Well,
a
if you're like
household with,
me, if you're working at home,
yeah,
then you're distracted by
all the
everything under the sun,
things.
cutting
Yeah,
the grass, doing the dishes,
yeah,
the
Mhm.
kids, the dogs that we were
yeah,
just discussing.
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we have that space there as well, and then eventually, we would also like to offer some just some general basic business classes, like, hey, how do you pay your taxes? What is that? When do you need to pay your taxes?
Sure.
What do those things look like? How do you get set up
How
for an
can you avoid some
LLC?
taxes?
Yeah, even depending on what it is. Yeah, what are some tax breaks that are really common for artists to take? Um, those kinds of things as like a way to get them to a point where they can then kind of actually grow their business. They can focus on like promoting themselves more rather than just doing all of the setup up front.
hmm
Um,
So, do you count it as a success if somebody were to outgrow your business?
Absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
that would
That's
be a
kind of the
huge
goal.
success. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, if they outgrow our business, then we have done our job.
That's
Mhm.
awesome. So you're an arts business incubator,
Exactly.
Mhm.
essentially.
Exactly.
That's so cool. So in the workspace, one of the things that instantly popped into my head, went to this place in we were in Orange or in Gulf Shores, so it was just next to Gulf. I can't remember. Anyway,
Right. Yeah.
this place, and it was an art gallery. But on site at the art gallery, they sold stuff in the gallery. Huge, beautiful building. They had all these little workshop like stalls,
Yeah.
almost
Mhm.
almost like
Absolutely.
a almost like a horse barn in a
Yeah.
way, right?
Yeah.
And part of the fun was when we were there in particular, there was a glass blower was operating,
Yeah.
Oh, I love
so
that.
you can sit there and
Watch.
watch them do
Absolutely.
it,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and even more so, you can pick out what you want in your. Okay, today we're making
Mhm.
glass sea stars. Great, I want a pink one with blue speckles, and and then
Mhm.
you watched them make your item.
Absolutely.
Is
Yeah.
that something that you guys, maybe not glass blowing because that's
Right.
a huge setup, but
Well,
Mhm.
so we do have a lady who already who makes her own glass beads. So
there you go.
So you could come by
you
and
could
see
come
that,
by and see that if
absolutely.
you really wanted to.
In
Uh,
action,
yeah,
Mhm.
depending on the day, yeah,
that
she does a
is
lot of other things too. But yeah, that some days she walks in, I walk in, and there's a torch going, and I'm like, wow, okay, this is what we're doing today.
that's
Yeah,
awesome.
Mhm. She actually has special glasses, so if you wanna watch, you have to wear the special
Right.
glasses, and she'll show you and she'll tell you exactly what she's doing. It's really cool.
That's cool. Okay, very, very cool. So what kind of you mentioned her, what all does she sell, and then what else do you guys have in there in the
sure.
business?
Yeah, so we've got a number of things. We've got her. She does jewelry of all sorts, largely. That's kind of her basis. So she does glass beads. She makes polymer clay is kind of one of her other big ones. She does a lot of trying to think
Yeah,
what
so
else.
this is Elaine with Uniquely Yours. So
I think
if
I've met her.
anybody's,
Yeah,
yeah,
Mhm.
she does a lot of stuff at the Smyrna Farmers Market as well. That's really where we mainly uh, where we originally connected with her. The other thing that she's really passionate about is like helping people to learn
yeah,
how to do stuff
yeah,
too. She's taught a few classes on the techniques, a lot of polymer clay techniques, the ways to make different types of beads, and so she loves creating, and then she loves also helping people to create those sorts of things as well. And jewelry, like Ben says,
yeah,
is one of her main focuses. She also does some stuff with wire wrapping and kind of like chainmail jewelry as well, which I think is really cool.
yeah. The
That's
chainmail stuff's
Some
really
interesting.
cool.
different macrame
Yeah,
jewelry stuff. She's a very creative person, and it's always fun to see what she's working on.
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm pretty sure I have an ink pen that's done out of the clay
Yep, you
that
yeah,
she
probably
yeah,
did.
do.
yeah. You
Mhm.
probably
Yeah,
do.
I'm pretty sure it's black and gray if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
okay, so what else you got in the place?
So the other things we've got, honestly, it changes regularly, just
Sure.
with people coming in and out as they need. So right now we've got uh, Green Garden soaps and bath, and this is her name is Shanti. She makes all sorts of personal care stuff. She keeps some of her
Mhm.
soaps and stuff in our shop, and then also man, literally she grows all of the like botanicals that she uses in her soaps.
Oh
Mhm.
So
wow,
like she makes just about everything from scratch. Gets some really interesting like unique ingredients. So there's a lot, like neem oil or I'm trying to think of some other things. That's the big one because I know a lot of people use
Yeah.
neem oil as a
did you say neem?
neem.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
Neem.
yeah.
What in the world is neem oil?
It's like a natural antifungal. So like if you've got if
I don't like mushrooms, so this sounds
yeah.
awesome.
I know some people use it to. I'm trying to think of exactly how to describe it, because until she had told me about it, this is the first I'd ever heard of it. I know it used a lot for like treating some, depending on the type of rash, or as a way to kind of
Like athlete's
like
foot,
athlete's
stuff like
foot, or
that.
those sorts of things.
Yeah.
Um,
Ringworm, those are all fungal.
yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, she's got a lot of natural healing products in her products, and all of it is created with so much love and so much intention. It's amazing just to sit and talk with her and say, like, okay, what have you created here? Or even people will come up and talk to her and say, hey, I've got this thing, and she's like, well, I'm not a doctor, but here are some things that can be helpful for that, or I've designed this specifically to address these kinds of issues, or this would help with eczema, or this would help with different things. She even has some like bug sprays that are very natural, and you can also see her at the Murfreesboro Farmers Market.
Okay.
So she usually is there on Saturdays, and she's an amazing person to talk with, and she's got a lot of history from her family and from her past that she brings into what she creates.
Which makes sense because a lot of those are family,
family traditions,
yeah,
or
herbal
like,
medicine,
yeah,
that kind of
or
thing.
like you need some sort of like, hey, I don't have the money to go to a doctor. What other things can I do? Like,
Mhm.
And I will say, like, one of the things that our definition of artist is kind of loose. It's
Sure.
a like creating, like if you create something, make something. It's more, we're addressing it as more than just like a visual art kind of
Right.
a basis.
That
Like,
makes sense.
um, so so we feel that Shanti and her work is really an art. And it's really awesome to be able to share that with the community.
Yeah. Well, and uh, so I'm stretching here a little bit,
Yeah.
but to some extent, even you made the joke about Science Sky, not really an
Oh,
artist.
yeah,
But the
absolutely.
thing is, I mean, how do we put this chemical or this element with this element
Mhm.
in this concentration? There is an art to that.
There absolutely is an art, and it's funny because you would be surprised how many people think science is just like a straight, like, I have to do it by the book, by the
Right.
numbers,
It's
by the
almost like the
like
opposite of art, and
it's absolutely not. Yeah,
yeah,
there's so many. I've
Mhm.
met so many scientists who are artists themselves, whether it's music, or they
sure,
usually have some sort of artistic outlet, and it's in, and some of the best ones even find a way to use their art with the science, which is
Mhm.
it's amazing.
Well, and if you think about it, and you said this, creators, the only way that we move forward, the only way that we come up with something new is, and discovery has to start with curiosity, with a
Absolutely.
question, and then application of something that we already had doing one thing. In all cases, we already have
Mhm.
this. How do we do something else with it
Right.
that moves us forward?
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
that's how
Yeah.
discovery is done.
I like to describe art as like a true artistic process of art within the box is the most creative, because you've got bounds that you have to stay within. So you have to find a way to work within them. So, because a lot of people also think art is just boundless, and that's fine and that's good.
And some is.
And some is,
Sure.
and that's great too. But I feel like some of the best art usually has parameters that are set on it that it has to meet,
Mhm.
in order to really kind of like function and work the way it needs to.
Yeah, it really stretches the brain. You start thinking about structured poetry and things like that, right? I
Yeah,
mean, how do you fit your wild thought that's out here somewhere
Mhm.
into this very specific structure? That takes some
it,
serious talent.
it takes some serious talent and some serious like know-how and practice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
So true.
Yeah.
It's so true.
So speaking of poetry, one of the other ones, one of the other uh, artists we have on site is actually not necessarily an artist; it's a bookshop, but she does a whole lot with local authors. She
Mhm.
actually just had to expand her local author shelf just recently, because she's gotten, I think she's up to like 20 now.
Wow.
So yeah,
Mhm.
it's a the other part of this is a community aspect, and that really vibes with kind of what we really want to bring to the community.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Um,
Well, and she may not be an artist per se, but she's providing access
Access to
to
the art.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's it. That's it.
Absolutely.
That fits totally
Yeah.
in my mind. So,
Uh,
all right. So, you mentioned that a lot of the folks that are in there, at least several that you've mentioned today, are I guess they're in multiple locations. So whether they go to farmers market, they're in your
Right.
shop. I would assume they have some type of an online presence, maybe an Etsy shop,
Yeah.
whatever.
Mhm, mhm.
So how does an artist how does is it Shantae? How does
Shanti.
yeah Shanti? How does she um, manage? Like to me, that would be what I would have to figure out. Is okay, I've got
Mhm.
this soap over here, and I've got this ready to go to the farmers market, and I've got this, and I've got to. I mean, just the logistics of
Logistics.
it,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. It's a lot of spreadsheets.
Mhm.
People think art doesn't require spreadsheets, and I am here to tell you that is entirely untrue.
Yeah.
Um, uh,
Art for sale
it
does.
does. Art for
Uh-huh.
sale absolutely
Yes.
requires a spreadsheet, at least one. Um, so yeah, it's a lot of keeping track of like, okay, I've got this amount of product set for this thing. I've got this amount of product set for this thing over here. Okay, when do I need to restock? What do I need to restock? What's going on with it? What's
Mhm.
my pricing like?
Mhm.
Um, and pricing is always the most difficult part of the
No doubt.
process.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Um,
And inevitably, your friends and your family want a discount.
Mhm.
or the opposite, the random strangers on the street think they can say that, hey, I could get this at Walmart. Great, go for it.
Yeah.
Like I'm obviously
Yeah.
not selling to you.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's there's always a balance of trying to figure out what that looks like.
And I think that that also falls into what we're hoping to provide as well is not just a space for people to set up, but to meet and say, okay, what are your goals? Because some of our artists, they just want a space where they can come, focus on their art, get away from the world, and just do that thing. And then there are some people who are like, hey, I really want to be able to sell my art. I really want to make this a business. And then we can say, okay, we are a partner with you. What are the places, like what would success look like for you? What is
Mhm.
this? Where do you want to be, a month from now, 3 months from now, a year from now? And that gives us, like, each person, we know, okay, where are they trying to go, and we can help to tailor the service we provide to that.
Well, and yes, and that's wonderful because one of the hardest things in an entrepreneurial venture, whether it's real estate or a brewery or leather working or soap making or whatever, is you wake up in the morning and you go, today I'm going to be an entrepreneur. And nobody is standing here going, all right, well, you need to do this and you need to do this and you
Mhm.
need to do this.
Yep.
So it's 100% on your shoulders to
Yep.
say, break this goal into these tasks. And that
Mhm.
that is that is a skill and it is hard.
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
the more tools you can find that will do that for you, the better.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Um,
Well, and even somebody to go, hey, that's a good plan.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's invaluable.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. 'Cause even when we started, we were talking to three or four different people about the plan before we ever even started to put it on paper,
Yeah.
um,
Mhm.
and just trying to go through and figure out, okay, the different steps of the plan need to do this, and they need to do this, and then, okay, the goals are this, and how do we put those together in a way that makes sense, in a way that could function and sustain itself.
Well, and a lot of entrepreneurs are big picture, right?
Yeah.
If
Mhm.
I build it, almost like Field of Dreams, right? If I
Oh
build
yeah.
this, people will just flock to it. Maybe eventually,
It's going to
Mhm.
take some time.
but you've got to get all the pieces in between,
It may take you 20 years before people start flocking to it.
right?
Not everything's an overnight success.
Right.
Yeah.
And in fact, almost nothing
Almost
is.
Yeah.
nothing is. Yeah.
Yeah. So, the other thing that I have run into, and especially in the brewery, and maybe you guys can relate to this, is you get surprised sometimes about what does catch, and then
Yes.
sometimes you're almost disappointed in what catches, and you're like, really, y'all like that?
Yeah.
Have you seen this, and
This
this?
is
It's so much
yeah.
better,
Oh yeah.
And so the
Mhm.
artist has to go, okay, do I sell out, right,
Right.
in order to make some money, or do I just insist on shoving what I like the best
Right.
onto someone else? And that can be challenging.
Well, and some of that too is down to the market. So I'll tell this story. It'll be a little embarrassing for me. So one of the things that I did, when I started selling at the farmer's market, we were going like every other week or so,
Mhm.
trying to be consistent with it. But
This is
also
with the leather working.
Yeah, this is with the leather
Mhm.
working. Yeah, and trying to go a couple times a month usually. Be consistent, but didn't have the time to like fully commit to going every
Sure.
week.
You got to have a certain amount of product.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, I had all of my stuff, and I was making wallets and making like journal holders and like little catch-all dice tray things, and bracelets. And Teresa was like, "Well, what are you doing with the scraps from those?" I'm like, "I don't know. They're scraps. I could probably make something out of them, but they're a little small for anything I would need." She said, "Well, what about earrings?" I mean, I guess that's okay. Yeah, sure, if you want to. And so she started making some earrings, and they were literally the best seller at the market.
She outsold you, didn't she?
Outsold me every single time.
And so now you make a lot everything, don't you?
I still leave her to make the earrings more often than not. But yeah. It outsold everything else at the market. So
That is hilarious.
but part of that's because the price point wasn't right.
Yeah.
A lot of my stuff wasn't priced right for that particular market. Like, I mean,
And the other thing is like Ben's stuff is super high quality.
Yeah.
Like everything is hand stitched, hand cut, like high quality leathers. And that's not just something that people at a farmer's market are necessarily going to be able to dig in their pockets and say, "Oh, let me splurge on that."
Right.
But like a set of earrings, okay,
Well,
maybe a splurge.
And I'll throw this out there. How many wallets do you have that you carry?
Ooh.
Well, you're the wrong one to ask. Trent, how many wallets do you have that you carry?
I got one money clip in my pocket.
There you go. I have a wallet.
A
Yeah,
wallet.
same.
So,
yeah.
and I've had this same wallet now for 3-4
4
years.
at least.
And when
yeah.
it wears out, guess what? I'm gonna buy one just like it.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
but how many sets of earrings do you have?
Oh, so many.
So many.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
like way
Yeah.
too many.
So
for-
the resellability.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's the other thing that you like.
How many wallets do you have
that
you use?
I use?
I'm curious
At
now.
least 2. One of those is a dedicated like business card wallet. And then the other one is my like everyday carry kind of wallet.
Okay, so not as many
Not
as I figured you'd be like, well, I got
have-
about 12.
I
you know.
have like 5 or 6. I don't use them all the time.
You have a dress wallet? Like you have a good wallet and a
No, I don't.
everyday wallet?
Most of the time, the reason I have so many different wallets is because I would play around with the different leathers and see kind of how they worked.
Yeah.
So I'd essentially make a prototype. But yeah, most people only have one wallet,
Right.
or one
Mhm.
belt, or
Right.
maybe 2 belts. Even like the amount of things that people are going to buy off the cuff, it's not there. But jewelry stuff, yeah, absolutely. Soap stuff, sure. Go to a farmer's market. That's your market.
Well, and there's less risk.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely.
if I pay $10 to $20 for a pair of earrings and I wear them
Exactly.
once, and it's
Exactly.
like, yeah, whatever.
Exactly.
Okay, but if I pay $50 for a wallet or $60 for a wallet,
And the same too goes for like visual art too. Like I
Yeah.
mean, like, going to a craft fair or something. Yeah, that's a great idea. I mean, it's great to get your name out there and get people like to exposure to your stuff, but you may not sell a lot.
right?
I know a lot of people they think just going and selling is the goal for those ventures, and oftentimes the goal is just to get your name out there.
Yeah, make the one right connection. So we do, and I think you knew about this. Were you at the thing that we did on Christmas Eve?
Oh, I don't think I was.
We talked about
At
it.
the-
Oh yes,
the
yeah,
brewery.
yes,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was. Yeah,
So we'll do another one this year. We call it the Procrastinators Craft Fair.
It's a
I'm
great
throwing
idea.
it out
I
there.
love it.
I love
We're
it.
doing it again. It's
So
happening Christmas
awesome.
Eve of this year, which happens to be on December 24th, as it typically is.
Mhm.
So we'll have 8 or 10 vendors in there, and a lot of them sold some stuff. But a lot of those craft fairs, people they have to pay.
They pay a lot.
Yeah, and so we didn't charge for that. We just said if you got to a certain point, pay us a
Yeah,
little commission
absolutely.
or whatever. And I think people really like that because it took the pressure.
Definitely took the pressure to sell off, which
Mhm.
honestly, a lot of people, a lot of the times, people shoot themselves in the foot when they go to like a craft fair or craft market because there's the pressure to sell.
Yeah, I
And-
paid $150 to be here. I got to sell $200 just to make it worth my time.
Yeah, and then that comes through to the people you're interacting with too. which
Everybody smells desperation.
everybody does.
Yep, no doubt about it. Well, that's cool. Well, I'm throwing it out there.
Mhm.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Procrastinators Craft Fair is back on for Christmas Eve. I don't know if we'll have Aaron the singing pirate again. I'm not sure. I haven't talked to him yet. But that was something else.
That was
But
an
That was an
experience.
experience. Yeah.
man, I'll tell you what, he's a unique fella. That's for sure. I love that guy. All right. So what else do we need to know about Trellis and Vine?
I'm trying to think.
What's your hours?
Well-
let's
Oh,
do
that's
that.
a good.
Let's do a
Yeah.
practical thing.
Yeah, that's a great practical thing. So our hours are we have public hours from on Wednesday through Saturday, starting at 10 o'clock and then going till 6:30. And we have the other part of this. We also have a rotating gallery that goes at once a month. So we feature a local artist or that will be in our gallery at least once a month. A lot of their stuff is usually for sale.
And
This-
this is more traditional.
It's more traditional, like
visual art.
Visual art, yeah, definitely. And those are just trying to make connections with those people. We also do a reception event that's open to the public, so that people
Nice.
can come and meet them and get to know them a little bit. That way, that it's not just the hey, come and see the stuff and then don't ever talk to
Well,
them.
and that's a service back to your artist, right?
Absolutely,
As well.
Yeah.
You know, because then they can invite folks in and they can house their stuff in a place where they can get somebody to
Absolutely,
come. Yeah,
absolutely.
that's great. Okay. What
Yeah.
else?
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say on that, we've had this month we're partnering with Carpe Artista for that. So we have a lot of their students that have their stuff in our space, which is really cool. And then
Y'all know all the Carpe Artista people?
A lot of them.
you know,
I-
we might know a
few-
few.
Might have a connection or
Might
something.
have a
connection. Two, maybe 3 or 4.
This is an inside joke
Yeah.
that the founder of
Mhm.
that is his dad.
Yeah,
so
my
anyway.
dad runs Carpe Artista, so yeah,
Mhm.
that one came together pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a
Boy,
really fun.
that was a terrible bomb of a joke. Trent, don't ever let me do that again.
I thought it worked.
Let's see what else is there.
We sometimes do some classes as well.
Yeah.
So a lot of our artists, they obviously are really good at what they do and they love to do what they do and they love to share it. So like we've mentioned before, Elaine has done some jewelry classes. Shanti has actually done a bath bomb class.
Yeah.
We have a lady, Cynthia, who does crocheting
Yeah,
and
she
knitting.
does a lot of knitting, crocheting.
She has some patterns for sale and she also has some classes that she'll be doing this fall to kind of teach the crocheting
That's
side
cool.
of things. So there's also like if there's a group that's like, hey, we would love an art experience, we can create something like that. We can say, what do you guys want to do? Let's make this accessible. That's
awesome.
a big part of
Yeah.
what we're passionate about.
Mhm.
You know, empowering the artists, building community, and finding a way to just do something really fun.
Team building type stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I do have one question. So
Yeah.
you mentioned you have workspace there. I assume that there's certain amount of equipment. So if you become part of the co-op, you have access to some equipment.
Not really, unfortunately. That's one of the things because we have such a variety. It's one of those things of like, yeah, you get AC, you get the
You get some
you get
tables
some,
and
you may have to bring your own tables, unfortunately, because a lot of people. The other thing about artists you got to know is artists are really picky about what they work with. A lot of them, so they want their specific table, they want their specific setup. It has to work just right for them. So usually, what we'll do is we'll say, hey, you tell us how much floor space you need, and then we'll price it based on that.
I see.
So it's making sure that they can get their stuff in, they can have the kind of their like offsite storage space. We're kind of working towards getting a kind of a pay by the hour type of workspace set up, but it's still in the infancy.
Because I could see
Yeah.
somebody, you know, if there's they need a kiln or they need a
Right,
whatever,
right.
they're not bringing that.
No. And we've talked about potentially having those. One of the again, this is something that
All it takes is money.
all money, and then knowing exactly kind of what regulations I gotta abide by, what
Sure.
safety hazards I gotta run
Mhm.
with. So it's one of those things of like that's a lot, and I don't know if I'm at a point right just yet to manage that. So
Yeah.
if that happens in the future, great. If not, maybe we'll find something else.
Right. Makes sense. All right. Well, very good. Trellis and Vine, spell out and TRELLISANDVINE.art, which I didn't even know was a thing. That's
Yep.
flipping awesome is the website. Info at trellisandvine.art. And again, it's 27 South Lowry in Smyrna. Um, Wednesday through Saturday, 10 to 6:30. I'm assuming that there's some other hours that your
Yeah.
co-op members can come in and
Yeah,
work
they
and
they
that kind of
basically
thing.
got 24-hour access. So
Very cool. Teresa and Ben and Baby, to be named.
Mhm.
So, but not that he or she, which shall not be named. It's not
Right.
that.
Right.
correct,
No.
Yeah.
correct.
No.
There-
There
this
will
is-
be a name.
This will not be a Tom Riddle situation.
Yes. Okay. Very
Oh,
good.
yeah.
Very good. See, all right. Thank you. I feel like I redeemed myself at least a little bit on that one. That's it. So go check it out. Go buy some stuff. Go support the arts here in Rutherford County. There's a lot of cool stuff going on.
Yeah.
And thank you guys for being part of that and for supporting it and giving that space.
Thank you. And thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much for having us. Yeah, this was great.
Mhm. We appreciate being able
Thank
to
you
be
for
here.
not having the baby on our
Oh,
show.
yeah.
I appreciate that. That's good.
Yes.
So you're about a week out, huh?
a week out from the due date. Yep.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
you
I mean, this
nervous?
is our first. So,
Are you nervous?
oh, yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
good.
yeah.
You should be.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
feel like this is.
How many times have people said your lives will never be the same?
Just about every time we talk to someone. Just about every time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And has anybody asked when the next one's coming yet?
No, luckily they
Whew.
haven't.
Oh,
Boy,
be
nope.
ready.
I
Be ready.
imagine-
You will be in the hospital recovering,
Uh-huh.
and somebody I would bet you a large sum of money that someone will ask you that.
Oh, my goodness.
It is insane.
Mhm.
Yeah. So good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. We're going to need it.
Absolutely, we are.
Well,
Yeah.
you got a good community around you that are going to help love
Oh,
on
yeah.
that baby.
Oh yeah.
So
That's
that's
for
awesome.
sure.
And kudos to you for not finding out if it's a boy or a girl. That's awesome.
It's been kind of fun.
Yeah,
It is. It
yeah.
takes some pressure off, doesn't it?
totally
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to help me get through like the labor and delivery part. You know, like
No
just
doubt.
that little mental thing that's going to
Yeah.
be like, yes,
Yeah, there's
I
a
get
surprise
to
at
find
the
out.
end.
Yeah.
Now, okay, so here's the thing. I've always heard this. Well, we need to know if it's a boy or a girl so we know how to decorate the nursery.
Nope.
Really? That kid does not care
This
if
kid-
you have pink or blue giraffes. They don't care at all.
Our kid was gonna get dragons no matter what.
There you go. See, I love it. I love it. That's awesome. Well, thank you guys for being on here. Teresa and Ben, Trellis and Vine, again, 27 South Lowry. Go and check it out. Trellis and Vines, all spelled out, .art. I guess that's it. Thank you guys.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
Thanks for watching. If you have any real estate questions, give me a shout. If you have mortgage questions, talk to my friend Brian. If you have a story to tell, talk to my friend Trent. And if you need a friend, talk to me and I'll find somebody for you to be a friend with. How
There you
about
go.
that?
That's beautiful.
You like that pitch?
I do.
That's a good
That was
pitch.
great. It's very
Awesome.
spread the positive.
There you go. All right. Have a good rest of the week. So